Good morning, YouTube. The word for the day is vicissitude. I came across this yesterday. I was watching TD Jakes. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch the sermon because pretty much it was a it was an hour or something long video. Halfway through it, like 35 minutes through it, they still hadn't gotten to the word. It was basically, they were doing collection and everything online, so somebody recorded it there, I guess. But excuse me, my allergy is about to act up, so I'm going to sneeze. But the word of the day is vicissitude. Definition of vicissitude. This is from, you guys, Merriam-Webster website. The quality or state of being changeable, mutability, natural change or mutation, visible in nature or in human affairs. Now, this is very um, poignant to me because my sign was formerly Sagittarius. And one of the qualities of Sagittarians was mutability. And I think that I didn't really know the meaning of that word. When it said mutability, I thought it meant ability to be silenced. But seeing how they're using it here, they're using it um, they're using it in conjunction with being changeable, malleable, and that's true about uh, about me now. But I did have the ability to be silenced. Okay, so again, natural change or mutation visible in nature or in human affairs. A favorable or unfavorable event or a situation that occurs by chance, a fluctuation of state or condition. A difficulty or hardship attendant on a way of life, a career, or a course of action, and usually beyond one's control. Okay, let's see what else came up when I did the search for vicissitude. The way that TD Jakes used it was he's talking about the vicissitude of the black community. I remember when he said it, I didn't really understand it, and it sounded like he really didn't get the full grasp of the word. Now, at first, and he used a couple of words that I felt like I needed to look up. Now, at first, I was like, "Oh, that's so presumptuous," okay, but when I think about it, and as I started to look up the words, I realized what he was doing because this is what I was taught to do growing up. Build your vocabulary. Every day, use a new word and use it. That's what he's doing. He's building his vocabulary. And what's shocking to me is the vicissitude in my life because I've changed to the point of where I'm not a ghetto person. Well, I am. Maybe not ghetto thug ghetto, but I am. And it's come to the point where that thinking process has changed where, I always talk about developing and growing myself. And I do in certain ways, but I've forgotten the basics of what I've learned growing up. And that's, again, vocabulary building because the community that I live in or the people and places that I'm exposed to don't do that. And they think just like I thought that, again, it sounds presumptuous, which it does, but you're improving yourself. Always move to improve yourself. So here's another definition of vicissitude via the free dictionary. I'm thirsty. On the water. It says a change of variation, an economy vulnerable to the vicissitudes of the oil market, a usually unforeseen change in circumstances or experience that affects one's life, especially in a trying way. The vicissitudes of childhood. Mine have been the vicissitudes of adulthood. The quality of being changeable, mutability, is from the Latin vicissitudo, from vicissim in turn, probably from vices, change, vices from change. Okay. Variation or mutability in nature or life, especially successive alternation from one connection to another. So, a growing change, a variation in circumstance, fortune, or character. Regular succession of one state or thing to another, change or variation, mutation, mutability, successive or changing phases or conditions. Now, speaking of this, that I want to talk about this a little bit. Um, Recently, there's been a lot in the news about some things that are going on in the community that, I'm living it, unfortunately. And I made a comment on a couple of videos. Should I go to those videos? I'm gonna have to dig deep in my history to do it. Um, I did a search because this is in my community, and it'll be easier for me to do the search now, so I'm gonna do it. about this person, and y'all see the name on here. And I'm gonna just share with you some of these things. Um, some of this is kind of painful for me to watch. I'm just gonna do a response video to some of this because you guys, okay.
In the
Again, this
hospital,
is
the
what
Channel
she.
9 News sent out that way for me to come out and see what they did for me. Or they done took my eye. They done broke my nose, broke my jaw. They did all this shit, so I resisted.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. Okay, it's starting off. There's different versions of this video. This is only 17 seconds long, and what he's saying here is that he came out to see what they were gonna do for him. Okay, but instead they broke his nose. They took his eye. He's lost his eye. Okay, so the way that he's coming off now, he's coming off really humble. He's trying to be corrected. And I'm gonna tell y'all about the legal system. Like, my experience, being someone that was falsely accused and convicted, and some had to somewhat overturned. When I went into the court, it's a this person has been through the system many times before. Okay, but the thing is that when you go into the court and you're an innocent person, well, he's not necessarily completely innocent in the situation, but you've had something wrong done to you. For me, I was completely innocent. It's like you come. This could have been a turning point in this man's life. You know, mercy, change. But when you come into the system and you're coming from a standpoint of you've been done wrong or whatever. In this situation, you know where he's stating that he was done wrong because he came out to see what they could do for him, and they broke his I don't know if y'all heard it. They broke his nose and took his eye. Okay, so he's coming. You hear the sound of his voice, his body language, very humble. Now, as I said, um going to my situation, which was completely different, and well, not it still went through the legal system, but I was falsely accused and convicted. I had done no wrong, and when I went, I again humble that was just my demeanor. And it's like, my thing was like, if these people really, if the system really believes that I did that, you know let's find an adult mentor. Observe me yourself and see, how I work with you. See if so you can see, because this is fresh off the press, right after that situation, that I was accused. You see for yourself, you observe, you know, and they had no response or no comment to that, because it's not about helping you. It's not about, you know, it's not about educating you or shame or integration. It's about money. It's about, if you're accused, let me get some money, or in this situation, it's about, power and principalities, like the Bible said. They wanted to assert first. You see these men that are standing around him. I don't know who they are yet, because the video that I watched previously did not show this portion of it. So I don't know if they're officers of the law. I don't know if they're. I doubt if they have let friends and family members be around him. They have gloves on, so obviously they work there. Look at the looks on their faces, the blacks and browns. They looked saddened by this. So I'm gonna repeat what he said because you could barely hear it.
In the hospital, the Channel 9 News sent out that way for me to come out and see what they did for me. Or they done took my eye. They done broke my nose, broke my jaw. They did all this shit, so I resisted, but I crawled out to the motherfucking road. So how did I resist?
Okay, so he's saying, they broke his nose, took his eye, to the point where he had to resist because they're breaking his face. You know, they're breaking his face. Not really resisting, is trying to shield yourself from being slaughtered, being brought to the edge of being slaughtered. Let's listen to it again.
In the hospital, the Channel 9 News sent out that way for me to come out and see what they did for me. Or they done took my eye. They done broke my nose, broke my jaw. They did all this shit, so I resisted, but I crawled out to the motherfucking road. So how did I resist? I ain't resist shit. They just did.
He said till he resisted. They broke his nose, So he just sat there and let him do it to the point where he had to cover up. He said they broke his nose, broke his jaw, took his eye to the point he resisted. But they're saying that he crawled out like a little girl. How can you do both? Listen.
So the Channel 9 News sent out that way for me to come out and see what they did for me. Or they done took my eye. They done broke my nose, broke my jaw. They did all this shit till I resisted, but I crawled out to the motherfucking road. So how did I resist? I ain't resist shit. They just did that shit and they tried to hide it from the news people, but I'm here right now.
And I'm gonna say this:
Corrections.
they
In the
didn't try.
hospital, the
They
Channel
did.
9 News sent out that way for me to come out and see what they did.
They didn't try to hide it. He said they tried to hide it from the news. From what I saw, and you know, the very first day was when they brought him out of the car. The way that it's like they're. This is so scary to me, even to speak on it. But the way that they took him out of the car, it's like they've been experienced in doing that and doing it in a way where, again, you shield from the public view and you get the person in quickly because you could not hardly see any of him. The way that they did it, they had a bunch of them surrounding him and they did it quickly. The only thing that you saw was a guy at the end turning around with this devilish smile on his face, and it's the smile on his face frightened me. And I later found out that was like the chief or something. It literally frightened me, and it made me rethink the fact that when I'm in trouble, I think it's an honor to be able to call the police. But that's scary. That's the person that's running the police, and the look on his face was just devilish. It frightened me to my core, chilled me to my core. And the video that I saw that showed that they didn't say anything, they just showed the video and they just, replayed that portion so people could take it as them rejoicing in it or otherwise. And I can understand why they wouldn't say anything because it's scary, you guys. The system is scary. This could have been a chance to change things around, and they broke the law further. Wrong is wrong, regardless of who does it. That is frightening to me. Like even now I feel it in the bowels of my soul. Like my stomach is just but yeah, so listen to it
Did
again.
for me. Or they done took my eye. They done broke my nose, broke my jaw. They did all this shit till I resisted, but I crawled out to the motherfucking road. So how did I resist? I ain't resist shit. They just did that shit and they tried to hide it from the news people, but I'm here right now. Corrections.
And see, and I'm gonna tell you guys, wow. And then it got to the point where it just got worse, where and you have to see other videos to see it. They didn't try to at first they shielded him. And then when, maybe comments were made, I even made a comment that because the reporter asked the guy, you have to see the video. But then, as you see, after he said that, the person that works for the court or wherever he is says corrections, you know, and what they're going to do is they're going to refute whatever he said, and then they're going to keep that doing that until he's muted. He doesn't isn't able to say anything, because he'll see that the system is so against him, or that you know that no matter what he says, that they're gonna keep saying stuff and they'll put out things that are direct lies. You know how you do. It's like shock treatment that you do something so appalling or so wrong and have no response for it, or just as blatantly wrong, and you do it and say it's right to the point of where you're in shock. So you're just like, what? You know? And to me, this is just my point of view that this young man, well, he's my age, this man, he's done a lot of wrong in his life, and probably each and every time, majority of the time that he went to jail, um, you know, he deserved it, and he probably deserved to go to jail this time, and I only say probably because I don't like to speak definitively on anyone's life, but you know, he did not deserve to be beat up like that, not by the system, maybe by people that weren't, part of the system, but not by the system. The system is supposed to be here to protect. But anybody that's able to do that type of harm to someone, anybody, it doesn't matter what your title or position is, that's an evil person. You have no conscience. That's scary. And you're developing a community and a society that has no conscience because you're in a power of authority. Anyway, back to vicissitude. Let's see if I can find another thing about vicissitude, just to get back on track. And that's what the legal system is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about vicissitude. It's supposed to be about successive change from one condition to another, supposedly for the better. Word of the day, vicissitude, you guys. I love you. I hope you think and act and behave consciously today. Always act out of love for yourself and love for one another. In God's name I pray, amen. Yeah, I put it all together. I love you.